Before anything else, look at your hand right now, your palm, the lines. If you see a clearly marked letter M, you may not be an ordinary person in the spiritual sense of the word, and I'm going to explain why. A few months ago, I was sitting with a woman, a mom, a grandmother, the kind of woman who holds everything together on her own, the type you'd find running a household in Ohio, Texas, or a busy suburb outside Atlanta. And as she reached for sugar to stir into her coffee, I saw it, an M shape in the palm of her hand, so clear it looked almost drawn on. And here's what almost nobody tells you. In Jewish tradition, that M resembles the letter Mem, which is connected to water. And water isn't decoration, it's flow, cleansing, transformation. Think about it. Water can carve the Grand Canyon, or it can flood a basement. It all depends on movement. Now listen carefully. This can be a blessing, or it can become a burden. It depends on how you live. And if this video found you today, I want you to consider something. Maybe it's not random. Maybe it's one of those messages that shows up when life is asking for an adjustment, quiet but urgent. Because people who carry this kind of sensitivity often carry other things too. Anxiety no one really understands. A tiredness that doesn't go away even after a full night's sleep. The feeling that money comes in and disappears just as fast. And that every time you try to level up, something stalls. And worse, you sometimes feel like too many eyes are on your life, and not enough protection is around it. Stay with me, because today I'm going to show you what that M reveals, without superstition, in an educational, symbolic way, the most common mistake that turns a gift into a burden, and at the end, I'll give you a 1-minute practice to help you protect your energy and bring order back into your life, the right way. If this kind of teaching resonates with you, subscribe and turn on notifications. Here we talk about protecting your home, emotional order, and ethical prosperity, grounded in tradition and meaning, without promising miracles. And so I know you're here with me. Comment below, I receive with awareness. And tell me, do you see the M on your hand? Right hand, left hand, both, or not at all? Before we go deeper, I need to be very clear. This is not superstition. This is not magic. And this is not a promise of miracles. What I'm sharing is symbolic and educational, inspired by Jewish traditions and values that find meaning even in the smallest details of daily life. Because in real life, your hand is more than skin and lines. It's the hand that works, that takes care of people, that holds the household together, that cooks meals, that comforts a child, that closes the door when the world feels heavy and opens it again when you decide to start over. And that's why this topic hits so deeply for so many women, because you don't just live the problem. You live the problem and the responsibility for everyone around you. Now pay attention. If you have that M mark, or you know someone who does, it doesn't automatically make anyone better, superior, or special. It may simply be a reminder, a call to live more consciously. And here's the key point. The same sign that can become strength can also become weight if you fall into two very common mistakes. And I'm going to show you exactly what they are with real-life examples in the simplest way possible. If you want to turn this into protection and direction, stay with me until the end. I'll give you a short 1-minute practice, easy, grounded, no exaggeration, to help you feel more order on the inside and more stability on the outside. And if this kind of content supports you, subscribe and turn on notifications. That way, every time I post something new about protecting your home, emotional clarity, and ethical prosperity, you'll get it first. Now let's begin with the first meaning of that M, and you're going to understand why so many people feel like this isn't a coincidence. Let's go to the first meaning of that M as clearly as possible. In Jewish tradition, The letter that most closely reflects this idea is Mem, and Mem is connected to water. But don't think of water as something pretty or decorative. Think real life. Water can be flow, or it can be build up. Moving water cleans, renews, and carries away what's heavy. Standing water gets thick, stale, stagnant. You see it after a storm when gutters clog, or when a basement floods because nothing was flowing. The problem isn't the water, it's the lack of movement. So why does this matter to you? Because when a woman tells me, "I feel like my life is stuck," there's almost always a hidden sentence behind it. Something like, "I keep trying, but nothing changes. I try to get ahead, and something always happens. Money comes in and disappears." That's the language of stagnant water. It's not your fault, it's a state. So the first meaning of that M is simple. You weren't built to live stuck for long. You notice quickly when something feels heavy. You sense when the energy in a room shifts. You pick up on things other people overlook. And that can be a blessing. Or it can turn into exhaustion if you don't learn how to guide that flow. Now here comes the second meaning, and it's more subtle. Mem is also connected to what lies beneath the surface. What doesn't show up in pictures, but shows up in daily life. It shows up in how you sleep, in the thoughts that run through your mind when your head hits the pillow, in that constant feeling of, "I can't relax, because if I relax, everything falls apart." Many women like you live this way, holding the household together, holding everyone's emotions together, holding the bills together, holding your own sadness in so you don't worry anyone else. On the outside you look strong. On the inside you feel like no one is holding you. If that M is on your hand, the symbol here is this. Your body is asking for awareness. Awareness of the words you use. Awareness of what you tolerate. Awareness of what you carry alone. And now we come to the third meaning, the most powerful and the most misunderstood. In tradition, Mem is also connected to cycles of transformation. I don't want you memorizing numbers. I want you to understand the principle. There are seasons in life where you don't improve by luck. You improve by alignment. You improve when you stop fighting what you've known deep down for a long time. And this is where many people get lost. They see a sign and think, "So I'm special," or they think the opposite. "So something's wrong with me." Neither. It's a reminder. And a reminder, my friend, is meant to put you back on course. Now let me keep my promise. The first and most common mistake that turns a gift into a burden. The mistake is this: using your sensitivity as an excuse to live in constant alert mode. As if you have to predict everything, as if you have to control everything, as if you have to carry everything alone, because if you don't, no one will. That slowly destroys you from the inside, because living in constant alert burns energy before your day even begins. You wake up tired, you move through the day tired, and at night your mind is racing. And when your body lives in that state, everything feels blocked. Money, motivation, marriage, health, patience. And I'm going to tell you something respectfully, but clearly, most of the time, the blockage doesn't start in your bank account, it starts in your words. In Jewish tradition, there is deep care around speech, because words aren't just sound. Words are direction, words are decisions, words are focus. So I want to invite you to try something simple, starting today. For the next 24 hours, notice if you repeat phrases like, "I can't handle this." "Nothing ever works out for me." "Money never sticks around." "Everything goes wrong." This isn't about judging yourself. It's about becoming aware. And when you catch it, replace it with something stronger and more grounded, like, "I choose order, one step at a time." "I do my part with clarity and strength." "I don't carry the world alone." "I make room for good things, without fear and without rushing." This isn't magic. This is you taking water out of a stagnant state and putting it back into motion. In a moment, I'm going to show you the second mistake, the one that makes many people feel protected on the outside, but vulnerable on the inside. And I'll also explain how to interpret this mark when it appears stronger on the right hand, the left hand, or both. But before that, hold on to this sentence. If there's a sign, there's a path. And the path begins with awareness, not fear. Now, let's move forward, because this is where the story starts lining up with your life in ways you may not expect. I want to tell you a story that sounds simple, but when you see yourself in it, it hits you in the chest, because it's not just about a mark on the hand. It's about what happens when a woman spends too long carrying everything alone. Her name could be yours, or your sister's, or your mum's. Let's call her Helen. Helen was 56. A mom, a new grandma, and her home was what everyone called the safe place. The kind of woman who fixes things, organizes things, figures it out. On the outside, steady. On the inside, tired. She came to me after weeks where nothing was clicking. It wasn't a disaster. It was worse. It was that constant stuck feeling. A bill due, an unexpected expense, a small argument at home that turned into a storm. And every time she tried to improve something, it felt like life answered, "Not now." One late afternoon she made coffee. As she stirred in the sugar, she stretched out her hand. I saw her palm, and I saw the M. She laughed nervously and said, "I've had this forever. Never paid attention to it. But I have this weird feeling, like I'm always one step ahead of the problem. I sense things before they happen." And this is where many women get it wrong. When they're sensitive, they think it means they have to live on high alert. Remember the first mistake I mentioned? Sensitivity is not a sentence to live in tension. Sensitivity is a tool, and a tool used the wrong way can hurt you. Helen told me something that stuck with me. I wake up and the first thing I think is, what's going to go wrong today? She said it like it was normal, like it was being responsible, like it was being prepared. But that's a slow poison. Because when you wake up with that question, you've already given your day a direction. You've already put the water into a state of fear, not flow. Let me pause here. If you're the kind of person who wakes up and the first thing you feel is worry, hear me gently. That's not strength. That's survival mode. And survival mode, over time, turns into exhaustion, irritability, anxiety. And eventually your body starts screaming. Helen didn't realize it, but her home had started to feel like a waiting room. Everything looked fine on the outside, clean, organized, together. But inside, there was this constant sense that something bad was about to happen. So I asked her a simple question. "Helen, when was the last time you felt truly protected?" She went quiet, looked at her hand, and said, "I don't remember." Think about that. She was taking care of everyone, but didn't feel taken care of. She was the roof, but had no roof over her. And this is where the symbolic reading matters. If that M represents mem, water, flow, then the question isn't, what do I have? The question is, where is my flow going? Is it building something, or is it draining away? Now here's the second part of the story, and this is where something subtle but powerful happens. Helen said, "I don't like telling people when something good happens." I asked why. She answered with something I've heard from many women across the country, from New York to California, because when I say it out loud, it falls apart. She didn't say it superstitiously. She said it from experience. In Jewish tradition, there's a concept related to envy, or the evil eye, often understood as a metaphor for overexposure. Even if you don't use those words, the psychological truth is real. When you expose too much, you drain yourself. When you constantly seek approval, you lose peace. When you tell everyone everything, social media, group chats, co-workers, you invite comparison, criticism, and noise. And what I'm about to tell you is very important, especially if you're a woman carrying a household, a family, and responsibilities. Not everyone deserves to know your next move. That's not fear. That's protection. That's maturity. And here's where the second mistake shows up, one that many sensitive people make. Unfiltered emotional exposure. Talking too much when you're vulnerable. Opening up to someone who can't actually hold what you're sharing. Asking advice from someone who deep down enjoys seeing you unsure, and afterward you feel even more stuck. If that's ever happened to you, I want to give you a simple rule, something you can apply today. No rituals, nothing weird. Before you share something good, ask yourself, is this person rooting for me, or just gathering information? And if you're not sure, hold it. Not out of ego, out of peace. Helen started remembering small things. A contract she almost closed but mentioned too early. A home improvement she showed to someone who always criticized her. A vacation plan she announced in the family group chat. And suddenly everything got complicated. I'm not saying there's some mystical force controlling your life. I'm saying something much simpler. Too much exposure creates noise. Noise steals focus. Lost focus turns into blockage. Now, I want to make a quick invitation, especially if you like to participate. If you haven't commented yet, write just one word. Right, left, both, or I don't see it. I want to understand who's on the other side of this screen so I can shape future videos around what you're actually living. And if you want to keep receiving this kind of teaching, subscribe and turn on notifications. Not because you have to, but because it becomes part of your protection routine. Every time new content drops, it reminds you what really matters. Now let's go back to the story, because this is where the shift happens. Helen told me, I feel like my hand is strong. I help everyone. But I also feel this guilt, like I'm supposed to save everyone. And I answered calmly, Helen, helping is one thing, sacrificing yourself is another. And I told her something many women in this country need to hear. When you become everyone's pillar, you start living without space, and without space nothing flows. Not money, not health, not joy. You become like one of those beautiful houses with great curb appeal, but the windows are never opened. Let me ask you respectfully, do you have space in your life, or do you only have responsibilities? Because if all you have is responsibility, that M becomes weight. It becomes that stuck feeling you can't quite explain. It was in that part of the conversation that I taught Helen a small language practice that changes everything for people who live in constant alert mode. It's simple, but powerful. When worry shows up, instead of saying, this is going to go wrong, you say, I'll deal with it if it happens. Right now, I breathe. It sounds small, but it gives you your power back. It pulls you out of the imagined future and brings you into the present. Then I told her, Helen, I'm going to give you 3 questions. Use them for 7 days. That's it. She grabbed a piece of paper. First question, in the morning, what can I control today? Second question, when fear shows up, is this a fact or a story I'm telling myself? Third question, before bed, what did I do today that was honorable? Look at what that does. It creates order inside you, and where there is order, flow returns. Helen came back a few days later and said, I haven't fixed everything, but I'm sleeping better. And when a woman sleeps better, a lot of other things start improving too, because her body stops living like it's running from something. Now pay close attention to this part. This is the subtle secret of this kind of message. You don't just need information, you need guidance. So now I'm going to guide you into an observation. If you have this mark, and you're the type who feels deeply, absorbs everything, carries too much, there's a risk. You can turn your sensitivity into a radar that only scans for danger. And when that happens, you start seeing problems everywhere. You start questioning everyone's intentions. You harden. And when you harden too much, life loses its flavor. Let's return to the water symbol. Water needs movement and direction. If you only hold it in, it builds up. If you only pour it out, you run dry. The key is balance. And that's why in a moment I'm going to explain something that will bring you real clarity. When the M appears stronger on the right hand, it often connects to giving too much. When it appears stronger on the left hand, it often connects to struggling to receive without guilt. And when it appears on both, it often reflects a non-stop give and receive cycle that never rests. I'll show you how to interpret that, and how to adjust your day based on your situation. No exaggeration, no fantasy, just grounded understanding. But before that, I need to close Helen's story with a sentence she said that is worth gold. I realized I was asking for protection, but I was living in a way that made me vulnerable. That sentence is a mirror, because sometimes you want peace, but you feed anxiety. You want flow, but you feed urgency. You want prosperity, but you feed fear. And the M on your hand, in this symbolic sense, isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. Now, in this next section, I'm going to do something very practical. I'm going to give you clear signs that your life is asking for an adjustment and what to do in each case. And then we'll prepare for the 1-minute practice the right way. I want to make this as practical as possible because I know you didn't come here just to understand something. You came here to feel like you're back in control. So listen carefully. Here are 5 signs that your life is asking for adjustment. Not to scare you, just to bring clarity. And afterward, I'll tell you how to adjust based on your case, whether the mark is stronger on your right hand, left hand, both, or even if you don't see it, but feel like this message found you for a reason. Let's go. Sign 1. Your words have started working against you. You catch yourself saying phrases that feel realistic, but are actually slow poison. I can't handle this. I'm always alone. Nothing ever works out for me. Money never sticks. You repeat them so often that your body starts believing them, and when your mind shifts into defense mode, the world starts to feel like a threat. And when everything feels like a threat, nothing flows. If this is your sign, the adjustment is simple and firm. You don't need to become a positive person. You need to become a precise person. Replace "nothing works" with "I'm in a rebuilding phase." Replace "I can't handle this" with "I'll take it step by step." Replace "I'm alone" with "I will ask for the right help." Words are direction. Direction changes your day. Sign 2. Your body has become an alarm system. You lie down and your mind won't turn off. You wake up at 3 a.m. thinking about bills, your kids, your job. You feel tightness in your chest or a level of exhaustion that doesn't match your workload. Let me say this respectfully. That's not weakness. That's what happens when you've carried the world too long without setting it down. If this is your sign, the adjustment is this. Create 1 minute of moving water each day, not a strange ritual. Emotional hygiene. 1 minute of slow breathing, 1 minute of silence, 1 minute where you don't fix anyone's problems. Because if you never give your nervous system a break, it lives like it's in constant fight or flight. And prosperity doesn't grow in survival mode. Peace does. Sign 3. Your money is leaking through small cracks. It's not always about low income. Sometimes it's leakage, a small Amazon order, an unexpected expense, patching one thing after another. Adjust this once that turns into a habit, and it creates a deep frustration because you feel like you're working hard, but you're not moving forward. If this is your sign, the adjustment is this. Stop fighting money. Start giving it structure. Money without structure slips through your fingers, And structure begins with one simple question. What do I tend to spend on when I'm anxious? Because many women don't spend out of desire. They spend for relief. The relief lasts a moment. The guilt can last days. Sign 4. Your home feels heavy in the transition spaces. I'm not talking about dirt. I'm talking about flow. The entryway, the hallway, the kitchen counter, the dining table. That spot where you drop your purse, keys, and mail when you walk in. When those areas turn into piles, your mind receives a message. I'm behind. I'm overwhelmed. I can't keep up. And that fuels anxiety. If this is your sign, the adjustment is simple and powerful. Clear one pathway, just one. Let that space breathe for 7 days. You'll notice something surprising. When the path opens, your breathing changes. And when your breathing changes, your decisions improve. Sign 5. You've started snapping at the people you love. You love them, but your patience is thin. You want peace, but you explode over small things. And later, you cry alone or replay the conversation in your head feeling guilty. That's not a lack of love. That's a lack of internal space. If this is your sign, the adjustment is this. Stop demanding perfection from yourself and set a sacred boundary. I don't discuss hard topics when I'm exhausted. I don't make big decisions at the peak of emotion. That's maturity. That's protection. Now let me explain the adjustment based on your specific case, because this brings a lot of clarity. If the mark is stronger on your right hand, symbolically this connects to giving too much. You give time, you give energy, you give presence, and before you realize it, you've placed yourself last. Your adjustment is a loving boundary. I help, but I don't abandon myself. You don't have to say no with anger. You just have to say yes to yourself with strength. If the mark is stronger on your left hand, symbolically, this connects to struggling to receive without guilt. Someone helps you and you feel like a burden. Someone compliments you and you brush it off. An opportunity shows up and you shrink. Your adjustment is to receive without over-explaining. Thank you. Period. Receiving is also spiritual. Receiving is balance. If the mark appears on both hands, this represents an intense cycle. You give, you receive, you give again, and your mind never shuts off. Your adjustment is rhythm. Rhythm transforms intensity into peace. One day you organize, another day you rest. One day you solve, another day you preserve your energy. Without rhythm, you become a machine. And you were not born to be a machine. And if you don't see the mark at all, but this video stirred something in you, the message is the same. Every person is called to live with more awareness. What matters is not the visible mark, it's the invisible movement. Are you living in flow or in blockage? Now I want you to do something that will increase your clarity. Comment below which sign hit you the hardest, using just one word. Words, sleep, money, home, or irritation. This does 2 things. First, you recognize yourself. Second, you help other women recognize themselves too. And in the next section, I'm going to give you what I promised from the beginning. A short, clear, 1-minute practice to help you put that water back into motion, the right way, with respect, intention, and no exaggeration. Let's move into the practice. I'm about to give it to you now. It's simple. It takes 1 minute. And this isn't about magic. It's about internal order. Because when you create order inside yourself, you stop living in constant alert, and the flow returns. If you can, do this practice at the same time each day, once a day, or at least once a week. Rhythm creates protection, and protection creates space to breathe. Let's do this. 3 steps. Step 1. Water with intention. Go to a sink. Turn on the faucet and wash your hands slowly. While the water runs, you don't have to replay everything that's wrong. Just remember, water means flow. And quietly say one short sentence, may I use my hands to build, not to break myself down. That's it. Step 2. The look that brings you back to center. Turn off the faucet. Look at the palm of your hand for 3 seconds. If you see the M, look at it without pride and without fear, as a reminder, as a call to live consciously. If you don't see the M, look anyway, because this message isn't about the mark, it's about intention. Then repeat a second sentence clearly, I choose order, I choose protection, I choose peace. Step 3. A closing gesture. Dry your hands calmly, and before you rush back into emails, errands, school pickups, work meetings, ask yourself one question that changes everything. What can I do today that protects me without fighting the world? Choose one small thing, just one, because one small action done consistently is worth more than 10 done in panic. Now I need to warn you about the final mistake that cancels out this practice, and this one is common among strong women. The mistake is doing this on autopilot, and then going right back to the same pattern, going back to the phrase that tears you down, going back to oversharing, going back to, I have to handle everything. You don't need to become someone else. You just need to notice when you're slipping into pack mule mode, carrying everything without question, and say, not today. Now I'm going to give you a simple 7-day reset. 7 days, 1 step per day. Day 1, words. Notice one negative phrase you repeat and replace it with a precise one. Just one. Day 2, home clear. 1 transition space. The entryway, the kitchen counter, the dining table, the hallway. Just 1 spot. Day 3, boundaries with love. Say 1 small no to protect your time, or 1 small yes to yourself. Day 4, money awareness. Write down 1 expense you tend to make when you're anxious, just to see it. No guilt. Day 5, 1 minute of silence. 1 minute without your phone. Slow breathing. You solve nothing during that minute. Day 6, a doable act of generosity. It could be helping someone, giving your time, truly listening, sending a sincere message. Something done with your hands and your heart. Day 7, honest review. Ask yourself, did I build this week, or did I just survive? And choose 1 adjustment for the week ahead. If you do this consistently, you'll notice something important. It's not that problems disappear, it's that you stop disappearing inside them. And now a direct request. If you know a woman who's exhausted, anxious, carrying everything, share this video with her. Sometimes what changes someone's week isn't a big breakthrough. It's the right sentence at the right time. And if you want to keep walking with me through these topics, protecting your home, emotional order, ethical prosperity, subscribe and turn on notifications. That way, you don't have to go searching. When a new video is posted, it comes to you. In the next section, I'll close with a simple recap and leave you with 1 final thread to carry into the next episode. Let's finish simply, so you leave here clear. Today, you learned 3 things. Let's close this with clarity. First, if you see an M on your hand, you can understand it as a symbolic reminder of flow, like water. And water, when it finds its path, cleans and renews. When it sits still, it gets heavy. Second, you saw the 2 mistakes that turn sensitivity into a burden. Living in constant alert mode and oversharing with people who don't truly support your well-being. And I gave you a sentence I want you to remember. Not everyone deserves access to your next move. Third, you received a 1-minute practice and a 7-day reset to bring order back inside and reclaim leadership in your own life, without exaggeration, without fantasy, just intention and consistency. Now I'm going to ask you 2 simple things. If this video helped you, subscribe and turn on notifications. That way you keep this line of protection in your weekly rhythm And you don't have to walk this path alone. And comment below so I can better understand who's here. Right, left, both, or I don't see it. And if you'd like, add one more word. Words, sleep, money, home, or irritation. Which sign hit you the most? Now listen closely, because this is the bridge to the next video. There's something many people do inside their own homes, without realizing it, that quietly drains peace and flow. Even when they pray, even when they try to protect their energy, even when they think they're doing everything right. In the next episode, I'll show you the 3 areas of the home where this happens most, and how to fix it without spending money. May peace live in your home, and may you walk with strength, protection, and dignity.